Before we begin this journey into the heart of the Father, I'd love for you to stay connected with us by subscribing, so we can continue to share these moments of grace together. You know, there's a specific kind of silence that happens late at night, when the rest of the world has finally stopped asking things of you. It's in that quiet, heavy space, where you finally let the mask slip, where the smile you've been wearing all day for your coworkers, your kids, or your friends finally fades, and you're left with just you. It's in that exact moment, when you feel the most invisible, and perhaps the most exhausted, that a voice whispers through the shadows of your room and the corridors of your mind, saying, "I see you, and I admire the heart you carry." It's a strange word to hear from the Creator of the universe, isn't it? Admiration. We are taught to admire the stars, the mountains, or the great saints of old, but we rarely think that God is leaning in, watching the way you handle your private battles, and feeling a sense of divine pride in the way you keep choosing to be kind, even when the world has been incredibly unkind to you. Think about those moments when you were pushed to your absolute limit this past week. Maybe it was a conversation where you wanted to scream, where you had every right to defend yourself or point out someone else's flaws, but you chose to hold your tongue instead. You chose peace over being right. You might have walked away feeling weak or like you lost that encounter, but in the eyes of heaven, that was a moment of supreme strength. That was your heart glowing with a light that most people will never see. You carry a weight that would break others, yet here you are, still waking up, still trying, still asking how you can be better. There is a deep, aching beauty in your resilience that hasn't gone unnoticed. You've spent so many years thinking that your value is tied to your productivity or how much you can provide for others. But God is looking past the calloused hands and the tired eyes directly into the center of your soul. He sees the times you gave your last bit of energy to someone who didn't even say thank you. He sees the times you... It's relatable, isn't it? That feeling of sitting in your car for 5 extra minutes before walking into the house, because you just need a second to gather the pieces of yourself. You look in the rearview mirror, and you don't even recognize the person staring back anymore. You see the lines of worry, the shadow of a dream that you had to put on a shelf years ago to take care of responsibilities. You wonder if this is all there is, just a cycle of waking up, struggling, and sleeping. But in those 5 minutes of solitude, there is a sacredness. God is sitting there in the passenger seat with you. He isn't disappointed that you're tired. He isn't tapping his watch telling you to get moving. He's admiring the fact that even though you feel like you're running on empty, you're still showing up. He loves the way you love, even when you aren't loved back in the same way. There's a specific pain in being the strong one in the family, the one everyone leans on, the one who has to have all the answers. It's a lonely pedestal to stand on. You feel like if you crack, the whole world will fall apart. But God is saying to you right now that it's okay to crack. In fact, it's through those cracks that He sees the gold of your character shining through. You've had moments where the doubt was so thick you could almost taste it. You've asked, "God, if you admire my heart, why is it so heavy? Why does it feel like I'm walking through deep water with lead boots?" It's a valid question. We often mistake our struggles for a sign of God's distance, but the truth is often the opposite. A diamond is only formed under the kind of pressure that would turn anything else to dust. Your heart is being refined. Think back to a year ago, or 5 years ago. Think of the things that used to break you, the words that used to shatter your confidence. Look at how you handle them now. You're still here. You've survived 100% of your worst days. That isn't just luck. That's a testament to the spirit inside you that refuses to give up. If you can feel the truth of these words moving in your spirit right now, I invite you to simply type "Amen" in the comments as a way of opening your heart to receive this comfort. It's not about a ritual. It's about a realization that you are not walking this path alone. There was a moment, perhaps not long ago, where you felt a complete emotional breakdown coming on. Maybe it was over something small, a spilled glass of water, a missed deadline, a cold comment from a stranger. But it wasn't really about that small thing. It was the cumulative weight of every "I'm fine" you've said when you weren't fine. It was the pressure of trying to be a perfect parent, a perfect spouse, or a perfect worker in an imperfect world. You felt that hot sting of tears behind your eyes, and you thought, "I can't do this anymore." In that moment of total surrender, when you finally admitted you were at your end, that's where the transformation truly began. You see, God can't work with a heart that is walled off by pride or the illusion of self-sufficiency. He works best with the broken, the weary, and the honest. He admires the honesty of your pain. He prefers your raw, angry, tearful prayers over 1,000 scripted verses, because the raw prayers come from the heart He loves so much. We often think that a good heart is one that is clean and untouched by the world. But the heart God admires is the one that is covered in scars and stitches. It's the heart that has been broken a dozen times and still decided to trust one more time. It's the heart that felt the sting of betrayal but chose not to become a betrayer. That is true spiritual royalty. You might be sitting there thinking about your mistakes, the times you lost your temper, the times you made a choice you regret, and you think, "How could God admire me?" But God doesn't see your life as a series of snapshots. He sees the whole movie. He sees the trajectory. He sees the intention behind your actions. He knows that even when you mess up, your deepest desire is to be a source of light. He sees the guilt you carry, and He wants to trade it for peace. He's watching the way you try to fix what's broken, the way you apologize when you're wrong, and the way you try to learn from the shadows of your past. That willingness to grow is what makes your heart so precious in His sight. Think about the people you've helped without telling anyone. The small gestures, a meal shared, a listening ear, a secret prayer for a stranger. You thought those things were small, but in the economy of heaven, they are massive. You are building a legacy of light in a world that is often obsessed with darkness. You might not have a huge platform or $1 million, but you have a heart that is capable of changing the atmosphere of a room just by entering it. Have you noticed how people tend to gravitate towards you when they're hurting? It's because they can sense the warmth of the heart you carry. They see the God light in you, even when you can't see it in yourself. This is part of your purpose. Your struggle hasn't just been for you. It's been to develop a level of empathy that can heal others. Every tear you've cried has become a well of comfort that someone else will one day drink from. Imagine a gardener looking at a rose bush in the dead of winter. To a passerby, it looks dead, thorny, and useless. But the gardener sees the potential. He knows what's happening beneath the soil. He admires the bush for its ability to endure the frost because he knows the bloom that's coming in the spring. You are in a season of endurance right now. The wind is biting, and you feel stripped bare. But your roots are going deeper than they ever have. You are learning a type of faith that doesn't require a miracle to believe. You are learning to trust the heart of the Father when you can't see His hand. This is the slow, beautiful transformation of a soul. It's not a sudden flash of light. It's the steady glow of a coal that refuses to go out. You are becoming someone who isn't easily shaken by the storms of life, because you've realized that the one who calms the storm is living inside the very heart He admires. The more you walk this path, the more you'll realize that the things you once feared, loneliness, failure, rejection, don't have the power over you they once did. Why? Because you've realized that the highest authority in existence has already given you His stamp of approval. When you know you are admired by God, the opinions of people start to lose their weight. You don't have to perform anymore. You don't have to hustle for your worth. You can just be. You can be the version of yourself that is quiet, the version that is joyful, the version that is still learning. There is such a profound freedom in knowing that your heart is enough. Even if you didn't accomplish a single thing on your to-do list today, your heart was still beating with the intent to love, and that makes the day a success in the eyes of the divine. The story of your life is still being written, and each chapter adds a new layer of depth to the heart you carry. Think of the times you've had to start over. Maybe it was after a divorce, a job loss, or the death of a loved one. Each time you gathered the courage to take one more step forward, a new layer of strength was added to your soul. God admires the way you rebuild. He loves the way you find beauty in the ruins. He is the architect of your restoration, but He loves the way you participate in the process. You aren't just a passive observer of your life. You are a co-creator with Him. Every time you choose hope over despair, you are painting a masterpiece with your life. The colors might be dark sometimes, but without the shadows, the light wouldn't have nearly as much impact. You are learning to embrace the complexity of your journey, the highs and the lows, the laughter and the lament. Sometimes the weight of the heart you carry feels like a physical burden in your chest. It's the weight of concern for your children's future, the weight of worry for your parents' health, the weight of a world that seems to be losing its way. It's okay to feel that weight. It means your heart is soft. It means you haven't allowed the cynicism of the age to turn you cold. But remember, you aren't meant to carry that weight alone. You are designed to carry the heart, but God is designed to carry the burden. He wants you to keep the tenderness, but let Him handle the pressure. He admires your concern, but He wants to give you rest. Imagine laying that heavy heart in His hands just for a moment. Feel the relief of knowing that the universe isn't on your shoulders. You are a child of the King, and the King is very, very good at His job. As you move through the coming days, try to see yourself through this new lens. When you make a mistake, instead of harsh self-criticism, try to hear that voice saying, "I see you trying, and I admire your persistence." When you feel lonely, remember that you are the object of divine fascination. The God who counts the stars and names them also knows every beat of your heart and the reason behind every sigh. You are never, ever truly alone. Your life is a continuous conversation with the one who made you, a dialogue of love that transcends words. This isn't just a message for today. It's a truth for your entire existence. The heart you carry is a vessel of the eternal, a spark of the divine fire, and it is being guarded with a jealousy and a tenderness that you can barely imagine. Think about the times you've stood at a crossroads, not the big ones that everyone notices, but the small internal ones, where you had to decide if you were going to let a disappointment turn into a permanent bitterness. You might be there right now, feeling the cold weight of a no that you really needed to be a yes. Maybe it was a promotion that went to someone else, or a relationship that withered despite how much you watered it with your own tears. You sit there and you wonder if having a good heart is actually a liability in this world. You see people who cut corners, people who are loud and abrasive, seemingly getting ahead while you're left holding the pieces of your own integrity. But I want you to look closer at what you're actually holding. You aren't holding nothing. You are holding a refined spirit. God isn't just looking at the outcome of your life. He is fascinated by the process of your persistence. He sees the way you swallow your pride to keep the peace in your home. He sees the way you keep your promises, even when they've become inconvenient or painful. That's a level of character that isn't built in the sunshine. It's built in the long, dark tunnels where you can't even see the exit. There's a specific kind of loneliness that comes with being a person who cares deeply. You notice the things others miss, the sadness in a friend's eyes, the way the tone of someone's voice shifts when they're hurting, and you step in to fill the gap. But you often find yourself wondering, who is noticing those things in you? You walk through the grocery store or sit in a crowded meeting, and you feel like a ghost, like if you disappeared, the world would just keep spinning without a hitch. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? The idea that your presence doesn't matter. But in the quietest part of your soul, God is whispering that your presence is the very thing keeping the balance in your corner of the world. You are a silent anchor. You don't see the ripple effect of your kindness, because ripples move outward, away from the source. You don't see the person who didn't give up because of a word you said 3 weeks ago. You don't see the child who feels safe because of the way you tuck them in, even when you were exhausted. If you feel that tug in your chest right now, that recognition that you are being seen by something much larger than yourself, take a breath and just type Amen to let that peace settle in. It's a small way of saying, okay, I hear you, I'm listening. Have you ever felt like a hypocrite? You listen to these messages, you pray, you try to be a person of faith, but then you have a day where you're just angry. You're angry at the unfairness of it all, angry at your own limitations, maybe even frustrated with God himself. You feel like a fraud because you think a godly person shouldn't feel these things. But let me tell you something. God isn't looking for a polished statue. He's looking for a living, breathing, struggling human being. He admires the heart that is honest enough to say, I'm struggling to trust you right now. There is more faith in an honest struggle than in a fake smile. Think about the times you've had to apologize to your children or your partner because you snapped. That moment of humility, where you lowered your guard and admitted you were wrong, that is where the divine meets the human. That is where your heart becomes a bridge. You are showing them that growth isn't about being perfect, it's about being real. You're teaching them how to heal, and that is a gift far more valuable than never making a mistake in the first place. Imagine you are a piece of music. There are movements that are fast and joyful, full of bright notes and soaring melodies. But there are also movements that are slow, minor, and deeply somber. Most people only want to listen to the bright parts, but the composer? He loves the depth of the minor keys. He knows that the sorrow you've experienced has given your soul a resonance that it never could have had otherwise. You have a thicker soul now. You can hold more. You can understand more. When you sit with someone who is grieving, you don't offer them platitudes or empty phrases because you know they don't work. You offer them the silence of someone who has been in the fire and didn't come out smelling like smoke, but with a heart that is now fireproof. This is the transformation that happens when you stop fighting the hard parts of your story and start asking what they are trying to teach you. You start to see that the God message isn't always a shout from the mountaintop. Sometimes it's the steady rhythm of your own heart saying, keep going. I am with you. Keep going. You are loved. Think about the physical space you occupy. Your home, your car, your workspace. Do you ever feel like the walls are closing in? Like you're trapped in a life that is too small for the dreams you once had? You look at your old journals or photos from 10 years ago, and you see a version of yourself that was so full of fire, and you wonder where that person went. You feel like you've been diluted by the demands of life, but God sees it differently. He sees that you haven't been diluted. You've been concentrated. That fire isn't gone. It's just been channeled into the foundations of the lives of the people you love. You are the heat in the house. You are the light in the dark. It's easy to be on fire when you have no responsibilities and the world is wide open. It's a much deeper, much more admirable thing to keep that ember burning when you have bills to pay, hearts to mend, and a body that aches. God is looking at that ember, and He is saying, "That's my child. Look at how they hold on to hope when everything is telling them to let go." We often talk about faith as if it's a feeling, but for you lately, faith has been a decision. It's been the decision to get out of bed when you felt like the day had nothing to offer. It's been the decision to be patient with a person who is testing every nerve in your body. It's been the decision to believe that your best days aren't behind you, even when the mirror tries to tell you otherwise. This decision-based faith is what builds a life that can withstand anything. You are becoming unshakable. You don't feel unshakable. You probably feel like a leaf in the wind most days. But look at what you've survived. Look at the storms that tried to uproot you. You're still standing. Your branches might be a little bent, and you might have lost some leaves along the way, but your core is solid. And that core is solid because it's wrapped around the truth that you are enough, exactly as you are, right in this messy, unfinished, complicated moment. There's a story in your past that you don't like to tell. It's the chapter where you felt the most ashamed, the moment where you felt you truly failed yourself or someone you loved. You've tucked it away in a dark corner of your memory, hoping that if you don't look at it, it will eventually disappear. But God is asking you to bring that story into the light, not to punish you, but to show you that He was there in that dark chapter too. He was the one holding the pen when you thought the story was over. He's the one who turned that failure into the very thing that made you more compassionate toward others. You can't truly admire someone's heart if you don't know the battles that heart has lost and won. God admires your heart because He knows the cost of the scars you carry. He knows what it took for you to forgive yourself. He knows the bravery it required to try again. Your shame is being traded for a testimony, a story that will one day be the exact thing someone else needs to hear to keep their own heart from breaking. Think about the inner thoughts that plague you in the middle of the afternoon, that sudden dip in mood where you feel like you're failing at everything. You start listing your flaws. I'm not productive enough. I'm not spiritual enough. I'm not a good enough friend. It's like an internal prosecutor is presenting a case against you. But I want you to imagine a different scene. Imagine God as the judge, and as the prosecutor speaks, God simply points to your heart. He doesn't point to your bank account, your career title, or your clean house. He points to the way you felt for that person on the side of the road. He points to the way you whispered a prayer for your enemy. He points to the way you kept your integrity when no one would have known if you didn't. Case dismissed. You are being judged by a standard of love, not a standard of performance. The world wants your output. God wants your essence. And your essence is beautiful to Him. You might be wondering about the future. There's a fear that the best parts of your life are over, or that you've missed your window for something great. You see the years ticking by, and there's a quiet panic that sets in. But let's talk about the slow transformation. Think of a forest. A forest doesn't grow in a day. It takes decades of quiet, invisible work beneath the soil for a grand oak to reach the sky. You are in your growing season. You might feel like nothing is happening, but your roots are expanding. You are developing the stability you will need for the next chapter. God isn't in a hurry. He isn't worried about the clock. He's focused on the quality of the fruit you're going to produce. And that fruit, patience, kindness, self-control, love, is something that only grows with time and experience. You aren't running out of time. You are being prepared for a different kind of greatness, one that isn't measured by trophies, but by the depth of the peace you carry. Can you feel the shift in your perspective? It's subtle, like the first hint of light before the sun actually breaks the horizon. It's the realization that you don't have to carry the weight of being the hero of your own story. You can be the beloved child of the hero. You can stop trying to save everyone and everything and realize that you are the one being saved every single day by a grace that doesn't ask for a receipt. This realization is the beginning of a true breakthrough. It's when the fear starts to lose its grip and faith starts to become your default setting. You start to look at your struggles not as obstacles, but as opportunities to see God work in ways you never expected. You start to find joy in the smallest things, the way the light hits the floor, the sound of a loved one's laugh, the simple miracle of a deep breath. There will be more days where the pain feels loud. There will be moments where the doubt creeps back in like a fog. That's just part of the human journey. But the difference now is that you know the truth. They are just weather, and you are the mountain. The weather changes, but the mountain stays firm. You are grounded in the admiration of the Creator. You are held by hands that shaped the galaxies. When you feel that old familiar ache of unworthiness, I want you to stop and remember this. The heart you carry is a masterpiece in progress. It's not done yet. Every experience, every tear, and every smile is another brushstroke. And the artist? He is absolutely in love with what he is creating. He is leaning in, watching you navigate your day, and he is smiling because he sees the beauty that you are still too close to see. Think of someone in your life who is difficult to love. We all have that person, the one who knows exactly how to push your buttons, the one who seems to drain the energy out of every room. For a long time, you've probably felt guilty for how frustrated they make you. But what if you looked at that relationship as a training ground for your heart? Every time you choose to be civil, every time you choose to pray for them instead of venting about them, you are performing a spiritual workout. Your heart is getting stronger. You are learning to love with God's love, which doesn't depend on the other person being lovable. This is a high-level transformation. It's moving from transactional love, I love you because you're nice to me, to transformational love, I love you because of who I am in God. This doesn't mean you let people mistreat you, but it means you don't let their darkness dim your light. You keep your heart soft, even when theirs is hard. That is a divine superpower. You've had nights where the silence felt like a physical weight on your chest. You've looked at the ceiling and whispered, "Are you there? Do you actually hear me?" And maybe you didn't get a lightning bolt or a booming voice from the sky. But maybe the next morning you saw a bird on a branch, or a stranger gave you a smile that felt a little too intentional, or you heard a song that perfectly captured what you were feeling. Those are the love notes from heaven. God is a master of the subtle. He doesn't want to overwhelm you. He wants to woo you. He wants you to find him in the ordinary, because that's where you spend most of your life. He admires the way you look for him. He loves your curiosity. He loves that even in your doubt, you're still asking the questions. As you continue on this path, you might find that your priorities start to shift. Things that used to seem incredibly important, status, being right, having the last word, start to feel trivial. You find yourself more interested in being kind than being successful by the world's standards. This is a sign that your heart is becoming more like his. You are starting to value what he values. You are starting to see people not for what they can do for you, but for the heart they carry themselves. This empathy is a gift, but it's also a responsibility. You are becoming a safe harbor for others. You are becoming someone who can look past the armor people wear and see the hurting child underneath. And as you heal others with your empathy, you'll find that your own wounds are being healed in the process. Let's talk about the emotional breakdown moments that no one sees. The times you've cried in the shower so the kids wouldn't hear. The times you've pulled over to the side of the road because you just couldn't stop the shaking in your hands. Those moments aren't signs of weakness, they are signs of your humanity. They are the pressure release valves of a soul that has been carrying too much for too long. In those moments, God isn't looking away in embarrassment. He is moving toward you. He is the one who gathers your tears in a bottle. He isn't asking you to get it together. He's asking you to let him hold the pieces. There is a profound strength in being able to fall apart in the presence of God. It shows that you trust him with your mess. And he is a master at making something beautiful out of a mess. You might feel like you're stuck in a cycle, repeating the same mistakes over and over. You feel like you're not making any progress. But growth isn't a straight line, it's a spiral. You might be passing the same point again, but you're doing it from a higher perspective this time. You're noticing the patterns. You're catching yourself sooner. You're learning to forgive yourself faster. That is progress. God isn't looking for a finished product right now. He is enjoying the journey of your becoming. He loves the middle of your story just as much as he'll love the end. He admires the way you keep trying, even when you feel like you're failing. To him, the trying is the victory. The fact that you haven't given up, that you haven't closed your heart off, that you're still reaching out for more, that is what moves the heart of God. Think about the legacy you're leaving. It's not about the money you'll leave behind, or the buildings that might bear your name. It's about the emotional inheritance you're giving to those around you. It's the memory of your patience, the sound of your encouragement, the way you made people feel like they mattered. You are planting seeds of grace in every interaction. Some of those seeds won't sprout for years, maybe even long after you're gone, but they are there. You are participating in an eternal work. The heart you carry is a beacon, a lighthouse for souls who are lost in the fog of their own struggles. Even when you feel dim, your light is still reaching people you don't even know. There is a depth to your spirit that you haven't even explored yet. There are rooms in your heart that God is waiting to walk through with you. He wants to show you the hidden talents, the dormant dreams, the capacity for joy that has been buried under the rubble of survival mode. He wants to move you from just getting through the day to truly inhabiting the moment. This requires a new kind of trust, a trust that says it's okay to be happy even when the world is in chaos. It's okay to thrive even when you've known so much struggle. You don't have to stay in the valley of the shadow forever. There are green pastures waiting, and God is the shepherd who is leading you there, one step at a time, admiring every single step you take.
My child, before you go, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, turn on the bell icon, and comment if you believe I am guiding your life. May blessings follow you today.